Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to a video for the Dragon Ball Super card game. As if you saw in the title, this is a comparison or a versus battle between Fusion World and Masters. So I have, if you checked out my other videos, I'll have links in the description for these and back and forth. For the Dragon Ball Fusion, the Fusion World set, which is the new sets coming out, with the starter decks and the first set of booster packs. In those videos, I do a brief description of what this is, of what they are. I want to do a little bit more of a breakdown and comparison between the cards and the rules in a separate video. So that's what this is. So what is the general idea here is, on the left side, we have Dragon Ball Super card game Fusion World, which is the new version, and on the other side is we have the original now. This is booster pack number 22 as of set number 24. 23 I think is currently out as of this video, then 24 and 25 are coming out. They'll be changing the name to Masters, then whatever the subtitle of the set is. So it'll be Dragon Ball Super card game Masters, and then Fusion World. And it's essentially a difficulty level is the base thing. Masters is going to have a lot more complicated keywords, special skills, extra different cards, and then Fusion World is going to be a little bit simplified version of that. So imagine it as like an introductory set. You pick it up, you learn how the base of like, here's how you build your deck, here's your leader cards, your life totals, how the combat works, how combo systems work, and it has a couple of select keywords like blocker and critical for doing damage or defending yourself. And then Masters will up that to adding new card types, extra decks, a ton of other different keywords that trigger off each other. Just running through like a quick list on just some of these cards. We have, of course, all the ones I grabbed. We have Deflect. I apparently grabbed the stack of cards that don't have any special ability. Triple Strikes, Unison Effects, Energy Exhaust, Asage's Blue and Yellow, Barriers on there. See if I have Z Awakens, EX Evolve, Dragon Ball cards, Wish cards, Villainous, ton of other different stuff in there. So you're gonna have a bunch of more complicated things. So the first question people are gonna wonder is, well, which one should I pick up? If you're familiar with lots of other card games, you've been playing Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, maybe even Pokemon for a long time, or any other type of games like that, you could probably pick up the Masters, and you should be able to learn it and understand some of the things very quickly. If you're very new to card games, or maybe a younger player, Fusion World might be for you. It's still gonna have the fun gameplay elements. It's just going to simplify some of the steps and other things. I did make a kind of quick list of the rules that change, but a lot of the stuff that changes isn't in the actual rules or gameplay, it's on the cards. And once you start comparing the cards, you'll see that. You'll see how vastly different they end up being. The other thing that's the big difference going forward is Fusion World, in simplifying it, they're also going to have an online version you can play, which I will assume will be akin to like the Pokemon online game, or possibly like Magic the Gathering online was, maybe like the Arena. I don't know yet, because as of this video, they still haven't fully launched it. They've done betas and stuff, so I can't, and once that comes out, I'll do a video on that, kind of showing how that works. So they wanted to simplify some of the rules and cards to make those interactions a little bit easier as well. So that's the other thing. So you can definitely pick up both. Can you mix them together? That's the big ultimate question. One hand, yes. Other hand, no. The one hand I say yes is because this is a card from Fusion. This is a card from Masters. They have the exact same backs. So there's realistically no reason why you couldn't mix and match them together. And although, yes, the Fusion World, as of right now, they have less skills or abilities or triggering effects on their cards, I don't know if it necessarily makes them any weaker. I haven't like directly compared like power levels and cost to each other. The one thing that'll make mixing them together not work, for the most part, will be that the Awakened cards don't have, they don't cost for their combos, and we'll see that when we look at the cards. So if you play combos, they're all free. Now, I think a majority of the Master cards are free as well, but the fact is, if all of Fusion Worlds are free, you can just add combos no matter what, versus Masters, you have cards that you might have to pay for. So it makes a slight difference there. It might make some people's decks a little bit more overpowered. The other thing might be some of the keywords that can trigger, and how they change some of the naming conventions with like extra types, because they might not line up correctly. And since if they weren't designed to work together, it may make some interesting combos that might not work. So I doubt there's going to be any tournaments that will allow you to mix these together. But like casual play, you probably can go ahead and do that, so long as both players are aware that that's what you're doing. So yeah, to run through the basics of the game here quick, before I look at the cards, I'm just going to grab... zoom my camera out a little bit. We're going to look at this is the Fusion World instruction sheet that comes with the starter decks. So, for the most part, everything's the exact same between the two games. So, in the preparation step, you're going to have your leader cards, your battle cards, your extra cards. Masters also has a Z deck of cards. There are Z cards called Z Leaders, Z Battles, and Z Extras. So a Z version for each. It's essentially a side deck that you have that you can tap into during certain things. And we'll look at a couple of those when I again show off the cards. So, and who's to say that as Fusion Worlds goes on, they're not going to add some of these elements into the game? This is, again, starter sets, and my videos are going on the starter sets and the first expansion. These cards didn't exist until, I think, like, somewhere between, like, 10 or 15 sets in for Masters. So it's not like they were, like, right off the bat cards either. They evolved, and they eventually added more of these. So it's possible Fusion World might eventually add some of these cards as well, but as of right now they don't have them, so there's no mention of them. The setup is almost identical. Your battle area, your combo area, your energy area, you draw 6 cards, you have 8 life cards. The two differences in gameplay setup, and that there's difference, is in Fusion Worlds, if you don't like your hand, you can mulligan it, but you have to discard all 6 cards, shuffle your deck, draw 6 brand new cards. So you have, it's all or nothing. Either you like your entire hand or you get none in your hand. And I think the idea here in Knight versus Masters, where you can discard any number of cards, redraw that many, and then redraw that many cards. So I think the reasoning there is to make it just quicker, and they're trying to eliminate some of the like analysis paralysis, where they don't want a player sitting there being like, okay, if I get rid of this card and this card and this card, I can do that. Nope, just, oh, I got 4 extra cards and I didn't get enough battle cards, or all my battle cards are too high cost. It just gives you an option to chuck it and start over, or keep your hand. It's basically, if you determine your hand's not playable, you can get rid of it. Versus Masters, you have that little more strategery, which can also help you go, I need a specific card. So if I get rid of these 3 cards, I have a better chance of drawing that card. So there's kind of that option. The other difference is, in Fusion Worlds, the second player also gets an energy marker card. So they get one of these that goes in their energy turn. So they start with 1 energy on their turn. That's a one-time use card, though. So if they use it first turn or they use it 8th turn, it's gone, it goes away. So it's not like a permanent, they always have 1 more. They just get a little extra start, since the first player kind of sets the tone of the game. So then the next thing that kind of steps in for actual gameplay is we have the charge phase, which stays pretty much the exact same. Switch all your cards to active mode, draw one card, you may place one card in there. The only thing I can notice that was different is Fusion World specifies it has to be face up and upside down in active mode. And the idea is, I think, upside down is so that way you realize that's not one of your battle cards or extra cards in your area that just got pushed away. But they need it to be face up so that you can read the text, because there could be something that references a color or a combination. In Masters, I couldn't find anything that specified that it had to be upside down. It just says put cards in your energy area. And again, this also might be a confusion thing. You're a seasoned game player. You know, like, oh, I have my energy or my resource cards in this spot. I have my play area up here. And it might not be an issue to keep them separate. But for newer players, it might just be easier so they don't confuse which is which. Or if they're looking at a giant table of cards, they're not confusing whose card is whose or which card is which. Oh, upside down cards aren't active cards. So that's kind of that. Main phase stays the exact same. Play cards from your hand. Activate skills, activate your main cards or awaken cards, or anything that you can do there. And then 3, attack your opponent. Stays the same. Either attack your opponent's leader no matter what, or you can attack one of your opponent's rest mode cards. So making your opponent rest cards is very important. Then they can activate blocker. All that stuff stays the exact same. The other difference here comes in the battle procedure. So an offense step, or defense step, either one is again comes to this combo thing, where you choose your choose who you're going to attack with, activate his skills, then use a combo by just placing any number of those cards down in your combo area, and then they go away at the end of your turn. You lose them. Whereas in Masters, some of them you may have to pay for them. Again, I just looked at one booster pack I had laying here, and the only card, I only had like 2 cards out of like the 12 or 13 cards I have laying here to kind of preview. That had a cost, and there's a cost of 1. So I don't think it's super common, but it is a factor nonetheless. Damage step all stays the same. Win condition stays the same. Either defeat your opponent's life cards or run their deck out of cards. The only other thing that's not mentioned here in Fusion World's instruction, because it's not part of the game, again, at least not for now, I can't say they might not add it in the future, is Masters has a countering system. And I don't know if I had any cards on here. Yeah, so some of them will have an ability that says, like, counter attack. So what that is it means that during your opponent's turn, if they're attacking you, you can play a counter card to do it. So to liken this to like something like Magic the Gathering, it's an instant card. Or if you're playing like Yu-Gi-Oh, it would be like activating a trap card, essentially. It's something that allows you to play cards outside your opponent's turn. Fusion World gets rid of that mechanic. So in Fusion World, during player A's turn, they can activate their cards, choose who to attack, play their combos. The only thing the opponent can do during that player's turn is if they're being attacked, is they can play the blocker card. If they have a blocker card, they can activate it to change who's taking damage. And then they can play their combo cards. That's it. The only time they interact with the other player during the turn is during the battle phase in their defender spot. Otherwise, they don't do anything. Masters has the counters. There's counter play, counter attack, counter defense. There's all this different stuff. So, like, they can trigger other things at certain times to get to play and mess with other players. Other than that, the game is more or less the same. But we're going to look at some of the cards. I am going to keep the fusion cards on this side, so the new stuff on the one side. And then I'm going to put the Masters on the other side. So we're going to look at a leader right off the bat. So here we have Son Goku versus Broly and Targus. Fusion World does have team-up characters as well. They have 17 and 18 on one card. So that's not against it. But now you're going to notice a lot of differences right away between these two cards. Fusion World is a lot. It's a lot toned down. I don't want to like say simple. I'm not trying to make it sound like it's a game for kids. Ooh, it's for babies, type of thing. I think they just tried to streamline, simplify it, in some of the things to make it more accessible to non-gamers. And they're also trying to keep it kind of like in that same style as like their One Piece game. They're trying to get people that have, oh, I picked up the anime, I'd like to play this game, but like I don't play board games or card games, and then now they have a way of kind of easing themselves in. And you can see the difference here. So now, obviously, Goku doesn't have a lot of text on him. Broly and part of two. That does not mean every single card does from every single leader card does. If I grab one from like set 3 here, let me see if I can grab. I got a binder here. One sec. So if I go to booster set 3, which is like one of the earliest sets because I didn't collect these right off the back. I'm gonna go booster set 4. So if I look at booster set 4 instead, so like let's compare that. So set 1 for Fusion World, set 4 for Masters. As we have Piccolo here, and you can see they have a lot. Now it's not as daunting as the Pargus one was. But you see, they both have the power, so I have it up here kind of separate from everything else. They do is they get rid of a lot of the other stuff. So they still have the name of the character, Piccolo, Son Goku, obviously. But on the Masters, they also had their special traits, which is Namekian God Universe 7, Goku's is Saiyan, and Universe 7. They kept those, but they got rid of the character word. So the idea with the character word was because the Master set starts getting the cards that have a lot more different names. So we're going to see this. We have like Magenta, Emergency Armament, Pycon, Otherworld Expert, Hayachimaru, Soldier Scout, Great Saiyaman, Protector of Worldly Life. And something like Great Saiyaman also gets the character Son Gohan. So he's both Great Saiyaman and he's Son Gohan Adolescence. And they did that because in that way they could name the card. Every card has a different name. And then they can also link, though. It's like, so if I'm trying to play a card that references Son Gohan Adolescence, I can also play one that is also called Great Saiyaman. Fusion World goes away from that. Every single card is named, every character is named the same thing. So if I get into this, see if I can find some of these. So, like, here I have a regular Son Goku, who's actually Goku Blue, but he's just called Son Goku. And then if I went and found another one from a different color, probably should have had this prepped a little bit better. But, like, there's another Goku, just regular Goku. He's just Son Goku. In the same set right behind him, we had a Super Saiyan Blue. It's also Son Goku. So they just got rid of the extra text of the character names. So all Goku cards are Goku. All Piccolos are Piccolos. All Vegeta are Vegeta. There are a few exceptions with Future Trunks versus Youth Trunks, or Gohan Adolescence versus Gohan Childhood, or Mecha Cooler versus Mega Cooler and Mecha Frieza and Frieza. And I think because those are like almost fully different bodies, I don't know. Some of that's weird on why they decided to do what they did there. But for the most part, they kept the same name. But they got rid of the extra subtype. So if I have a card that references Goku, I just have to look at the name of the card. I don't have to then check down here to see if it has a separate different name. Again, just trying to simplify it. They also got rid of the eras thing. I don't know if any card specifically ever mentioned the era. I think it was more of like a flavor text of being like, hey, these cards are from this storyline or this set. And I think they just got it out again. It wasn't relevant to gameplay, so they're just trying to make it simpler. The other thing, though, the added thing, is they have the little color symbol down here. So it's going to have the 5 different sides, red, blue, green, yellow, and then black, which are no current black cards, but there will be in the future. And that's just a quick reference for maybe if you're colorblind or have color challenged. Just helps you see that a little bit quicker. You can tell what color it is. Oh, R is for red. Y is for yellow. So on and so forth. And then they also make leader front a little bit bolder on the side. And it's in the same place on every card, just to kind of help it stand out. And that's the big thing there. Now you can see they kind of have similar abilities. So he has Goku's when attacking, you draw a card. Piccolo says auto. When this card attacks a leader card, draw 1 card. So they got rid of the auto mechanic, which is basically auto meaning this automatically has to happen when you do this effect. Instead, they changed it to when you're at, instead of having you then have to read each time what each auto does, Fusion World just tells you when it does. So it says, when attacking, do this, or on play, do this. So they're always going to be, they do have some autos. I'm not going to say they don't, because that's not true that they don't. But yeah, we'll have like the other Goku. It says, on play, do this. So when you play this card, you do that. When you attack, you do that. They do have like an auto here for Tabba. It says auto. It says on opponent's turn. It says when you use this card for the. So it says it's automatically going to happen on your opponent's turn when you use this card for that ability. But that might be, is that the only instance of auto? It might be. It's not very often, but they also did color code them all, which is very helpful as well. So like, it's like active cards, you have to purposefully do or that. Play cards or when you're doing stuff. Okay. And then we have the awakening ability. They both have leaders, they awaken, they flip over. So far, most of the Fusion World cards have the same thing. When your life is at 4 or less, do something, then flip this card over. For example, you have Beerus here as well. Oops, this side. So his says, this card gets 5,000, or it says, when your life is at 4 or less, draw 1 card, flip it over. Same as Goku's. There are a couple that are slightly different. I think Broly's was different from the starter deck. Let me see if I can find him quick. Yeah, so Broly says, when your card is at 4 or left, add 1 card from your life energy in rest mode, then flip this card over. So he has a slightly different thing, but they're all still at 4 life, you gotta flip them over. And that stays basically the same for masses. Like Piccolo says, when your life is at 4 or less, the difference is basically, you can choose when to activate these, they're not auto, so you can be at 3 life, 2 life, 1 life before you flip your awakening if you choose. But most of the master cards are going to have a little bit more complicated ways to activate them. This is just Goku's like, 4 or less, just draw a card, flip them over. Done. Pretty simple. Or like Broly says, rest 1 energy card, add a card, do that. Like Piccolo's, you may choose up to 2 of your energy, switch them to active mode, then flip this card over. So a little bit more complicated. If we bring back Broly and Pargas, his awakening at the very bottom is draw 1 card, switch up to 1 of your energy to active mode. And then flip them over. Just had to shrink it down. But yeah, so they have a little bit different abilities. But again, that doesn't mean that Fusion World in the future won't make some of them more complicated. So I can't always comment on that. If we flip them over, this is one thing that was, I think supposed to be really interesting, is to have different unique artwork on here. Is I think some of the artwork on Masters is a little bit better. I think a lot more newer artwork, a lot more fantastical artwork, versus a lot of the stuff in Fusion World seems to be like taken, just like ripped from like previous artwork. But that's not, again, a terrible thing. But I can see Awakening's really big. Power still up in the same spot. Just helps keep track of all the information stays in the same spot on both of them. There's a possibility the names could change down here. We do have 17 and 18 that change. Where are those guys at? Green. So, like, there's his Android 18, and then when he awakens, he becomes 17 and 18. So that is possible to happen as well. There is a possibility you might get stuff where a character can change, like, from one form to the other. But, yeah, like, again, Super Saiyan levels and that stuff doesn't make a difference. And you can see they have their different abilities and things like that. So that's kind of how it, but you said, like, the little simplicity of Goku is permanent. On your turn, all your cards of Universe 7 and their special traits get 5,000 power when attacking, draw a card. Piccolo has a bunch of stuff. He has Bond 2. Namekian. This skill takes effect when you have 2 or more of the specified battle cards in play. This card gains critical. So if you have 2 other Namekians in play, his card gains critical. Then he also has an auto. When this card attacks, draw 1 card, then choose up to 1 Namekian in your battle area. It gains 5,000 power for the duration of this turn. So it's not, like, overly complicated. Like, you can understand it, but you could also see where that's a lot of extra things. But again, that's not every leader, everything, but, you know, that's how that is. If we look at some of the other cards, so let's look at a battle card. Should we have that? Do I have a simplistic battle card? Yeah. So there's like 2 just like generalized battle cards. I don't have any special effects, but again, you can see like your name, your thing. But they have this. They just again, do we need to know this is Young Son Goku Saga? Doesn't make any difference. It's kind of cool for lore wise, you know where they are if you haven't seen them before. You know, but again, do we need to know that Bora is also Bora? Is it that relevant? Again, that's you have to keep it because you get it for everybody else. Then, again, like, Battle is a little tiny up there. It's nice and big there on the side. They kind of got rid of the Scouter for the cost. Again, so that fancier border just made it very simplified. For the dots, of course, represent how many of that color you have to pay. So to play Champa, I have to pay 4 energy. One of them has to be red. To play Bora, I have to have 2 energy, but both have to be yellow. And then they have their combos. So Bora gets you 5,000. That 0 means he doesn't cost anything extra. Where Champa just gives me 10,000. But again, he's also a 4-cost card. But there's the difference. If I threw both of these cards in my deck, I have a 2-cost guy who's only going to be 5,000 versus I have a 4-cost guy who's going to be 10,000. No, it doesn't necessarily mean anything because I have 1-cost and 2-cost guys in here. I have like Vados here is 1-cost as 5,000 as well. But yeah, it's going to be like the utility of having them decked. You have more higher cost guys. They might give you more combo points, but it's going to be harder to play them otherwise. So that is that. Let's look at... I just don't want to look at some of the cards with abilities on them as well. So we have something like this. Vados, who has very simple again. 1-cost, very simple magic in there. Active main once per turn. Choose up one of your other battle cards in Universe 6. In its traits, gets 5,000 power. Where the Hachimaru Small Scout, active main limit 1. Your leader is a red ribbon army card. Play this card in rest mode from your hand. Choose one battle card that gets 5,000 minus 5,000 for the turn. Additionally, the chosen card is a Magenta SH card that gets minus 10,000 for the turn. So, like that card again, and there's cards in Fusion World that have very specific abilities as well. So don't get me wrong to say that they don't. There's some like some of them have some very specific things they do. Like Dr. Zero here says on play, look at cards, specifically look for 17 or 18. Or he has another one here. It says look at top 10 cards to look for Dr. Zero's lab. So they do have some that specify specific characters. We have some. Guachi says, with a top 5 year deck, look for Goku, Blacker, Zamazaru, Zamusu. So yeah, there's definitely cards that do specific things there. Masters has a tendency to have a lot of stuff that says, if your leader is this color and this character type, do this. The Fusion World kind of got rid of that. They do have stuff that does maybe reference characters, but it doesn't generally represent both characters and color. I was trying to find the Pargus card. Yeah, so like, we have this card. So it's Pargus. Your leader is Brawly, and you have no Shadowman battle cards. Put up to 1 card Shadowman. So it's specifying 2 different cards, but it doesn't specify the color. So as of right now, though, Fusion World only has 1 color card deck. So I'm playing green, I have to play green cards. So my Broly is going to be green. But like, as the game turns in later, I might have a multicolored deck. So as long as my leader is Broly, it doesn't matter if he's a green-blue, as long as he'll have to be half green to be able to play this card. But that's what makes the difference in there, is they kind of got rid of like having to specify some of them colors. And there are cards that do have color activations as well. Alright, so I did want to look at one of the extra cards as well. So there is an extra card from Masters versus an extra card from Fusion World, and my focus is off. So yeah, you know, they have the white border. Fusion World goes very simplified with it. Masters goes a little bit, again, has a bigger border and everything. And it just makes it a little bit easier to read for some of that stuff. But yeah, then you see there's lots of abilities on there. Active main, active battles, depending on when you want to play that. The other one has a permanent or an active main card. But again, if your leader is a red Gohan SH, draw 1 card. So again, it's specifying it has to be that specific Gohan, and it has to be a red card. But the other one's just specifying any Universe 7 cards. So there's a little bit of differences there. Yeah, so that's kind of the over and under of all of it. So the other thing I did want to just show off quick was, for Masters, we do have some other new cards in here that aren't in Fusion World, or at least not as of yet. Again, they might include these in the future, but not. They have special Unison cards. These, if you're familiar with Magic the Gathering, are your Planeswalkers. You pay X amount, which is so Guru, you have to pay X. At least 4 of that X have to be yellow, so he always has to be at least 4 costs. But then you get to put number of counters on him versus how much you paid. If you paid 10, you get 10 counters. And that basically gives him a sense of health. Then every time he takes damage, you remove 1, or you pay his abilities to remove 1. And then when they hit 0, or if he runs out, good. So again, like Magic and their Planeswalkers and their loyalty counters. They're very powerful as long as you have counters on them, but they use their abilities to spend them counters. Then we have the Z decks. The Z cards, sorry. So here's a Z leader. So up at the top, it's going to say Z leader, called Z Awaken. So what this is it lets you basically upgrade your Z leader up another card. The little number on the side here, the 2, is going to, I believe, specifies how many cards it counts towards your Z deck. You can only have up to 7 Z cards. So this card would count as 2 of those 7. And they did that so they can make more powerful cards that don't wreck the game. But yeah, this will basically, you can have Super Saiyan. It says when your life is at, pay 1 green, when your life is at 4 or less, you can transform a green Gogeta Broly. So if you have one of them in play, you can then now turn him into this card instead. Super Saiyan Blue version. So it's just a way to take your leader card, awaken them, and then make them even more powerful. Give them an alternate awaken, essentially. They also have additional battle cards you can put in there. So it's to kind of help with some of the other stuff. So Krillin here, he has a blocker, has auto. When this card is played, reduce your Z Awaken skill for Piccolo SH in your card Z deck by 2. So it makes him a little bit cheaper. And then they did have a Z Extra that is, this is just it's an extra card, so it's like your white cards. This is turned sideways just because it's a location type card that they had. There are Z ones that battle cards that aren't like this, or extra cards. It just happens to be that new style they did in this set. So those are 3 different other cards they added in there. The other 2 that they've added is we haven't seen yet. We haven't seen black cards. Should be interesting to see what they do with them and how they play. And then the other ones we haven't seen multicolored cards, which are definitely coming. But you can see here we have Cooler Villainous Threat. He costs 1 for his combo. He has Energy Exhaust, Deflect, Double Strike, and Villainous. So the first 3 abilities they don't list anymore. Because again, there's so many abilities, they can't list all the reminder text on every single card. So you have to remember what all these different abilities were. There's literally a page worth of abilities. And then there's Villainous, which is brand new, which is why they gave they actually listed what it does. But that's what we have for these. So, yeah, if you're looking to if you haven't picked up any of these before, and you're wondering which one you should pick up, I will, again, recommend, if you haven't really ever played card games before, picking up Fusion World is probably a great starting point. The cards are a little bit, you have less information on them. They're going to be a little bit easier to figure out what's going on. They don't have all the extra keywords and reminder things you have to do. So that's definitely nice. The upside, and then you can always upgrade to Masters in the future. On the other hand, the reason why I would say Masters is a great one to go for is because you can probably go into a store that sells them or go online, and you might be able to find older sets. There is currently, as of this video, 23 sets out with 24 and 25 on the way. And that's just main booster packs. That's not counting tournament packs, special sets, starter decks, because there's usually 2 starter decks for each one. So there's a lot more content out there. Right now, you pick up Fusion World, you can get the 4 starter decks, you can get the booster sets, and that's what you got. And you have to wait until the next set comes out, which maybe they might have set 2 coming out later this year, as of this video again, depending on when you watch this, or maybe by next year. They haven't announced it yet, so I'm not for sure. I think if they follow kind of with other Bandai such as Digimon and One Piece, I think it's usually about 2 sets a year. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, if you're looking at, you go at the master set, you have 30, 40, probably 35 plus different sets overall. Special box sets you can go pick up, collector's editions, all these other different things you can pick up. You can pick up the booster pack boxes, have 4 packs and some promos. I've done them, the premium packs. I've had videos for those you can check out. So there's a lot more content you can go back and pick up. But on the other hand, that could also be a negative side. If you like to collect everything, you're trying to collect 35 plus old sets worth of extra cards, hundreds of promos that are out there, all that. Where if you start with Fusion World, if you get in on it now, what's just coming out, because it just launched this month, as of this video, February, you might be able to keep up with it. So there you go. If you guys have any other questions, comments, suggestions for videos, let me know. Definitely love looking at this. I think in the future, I would love to go back and look at some of the old Dragon Ball Z card games. If that sounds cool, hey, let me know in the comments as well on that. See you guys later. Bye.